A normal and intoxicated driver are driving their vehicle with a constant speed of 44 meters per second on the straight road. They see the tree 600 meters before them, and the normal driver takes about 0.75 seconds, and the driver who consumed alcohol takes 3 seconds to react and to apply the brake. Both the vehicles decelerate at 2 meters per second after applying the brake. Determine the distance traveled by both the drivers and their possibility of hitting the tree. So here the condition is given: after applying the brake, the vehicle comes to rest. So we can take the final velocity of both the vehicle will be 0. So these conditions are given. So initially both the vehicles are traveling with 44 meters per second, and the vehicle after applying the brake constantly decelerate at 2 meters per second. So hence it is deceleration. The acceleration value we are putting in the negative sign. So time taken by the normal driver to react and apply the brake is 0.75 seconds, and time taken by the intoxicated driver to react is 30 seconds. The distance, 3 seconds, and the distance between the car and the vehicle is given as 600 meters. So the total distance traveled by the car we can calculate as distance traveled before applying the brake and distance traveled after the brake. So here we are taking the initial normal driver. So the given data, initial velocity is 44 meters per second, and the final velocity after the vehicle comes to rest, we can take it as 0, and deceleration is 2 meters per second square, and time taken by the driver to react and to apply the brake is 0.75 seconds. Similarly, for the intoxicated driver, the time taken by the him to react and to apply the brake is 3 seconds. So now we can calculate the braking distance for both the vehicles. Both the braking distance is same, and we can apply the equation v squared is equal to u square plus 2as. So you can apply this equation. So both the conditions are given. Both the vehicles are traveling with the velocity of 44 meters per second, and the final velocity will be 0. So you can use v square equal to u square plus 2as. You can substitute, and the distance traveled is calculated as 484 meters. Now after applying the brake, the distance traveled is 44 into 0.75. Since the reaction time is 0.75 seconds, so you can calculate the total velocity into time to calculate the distance. So distance traveled in the case of the normal driver is 33 meters. And in the case of the intoxicated driver, he reacts 3 seconds after seeing the target. So the distance traveled will be more. That is 132 meters in this intoxicated driver case. So the total distance traveled by the car is distance traveled before applying the brake sum the distance traveled after applying the brake. So in the case of the normal driver, the total distance traveled by the car is 484 meters plus 33 meters. Here totally will get 517 meters. So the total distance between the car and the target is 600 meters, which is already given. So the vehicle stops 83 meters before the tree, so the accident is avoided. But in the case of drunken driver, he takes 3 seconds to react and apply the brake. So the total time traveled here is 132 meters plus initially 484 meters. So totally 616 meters the car will travel. So the initial distance is 600 meters. So the car definitely hits the tree and makes the accident. So here the response time decides the accident. So if the normal driver, the response time is very less in 0.75 seconds. So he drops the vehicle 83 meters before the tree and avoids the accident. But in the case of the intoxicated driver, 3 seconds is taken for the response time, so that the total distance traveled will become high, so that he hits the target. So the consumption of intoxicated items usually increases the response time, which forms the root cause for the accident. So don't drink and drive. Now is another case. Suppose the intoxicated driver's response time is 2.6 seconds instead of 3 seconds. So the total distance traveled after applying the brake is 44 into 2.6, that is extra he might be travel 114.4 meters. So the total distance will be come as 598.4 meters. So in this case the vehicle will stops 1.6 meter before the tree and the accident is avoided. So here the response time decides the accident. Thank you.